Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
This is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world, because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees any day.
Joe Biden knows how to do this. Yes, he knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. And you know, you can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean...
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing?
Just days ago, we showed you the fiery clash between new White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt and Whoopi Goldberg. But what you didn't see, the raw, unfiltered chaos, the gasps, the eye rolls, and the stunned reactions caught live on camera. This wasn't just a segment. It was a televised shockwave. Buckle up, because what's coming next might just leave your jaw on the floor.
I too am a working mom and always have been. I've been a professional woman since I graduated from college or law school. But now there's, I think, a good thing, which is like the restoration of valuing so-called traditional, moms, and that's great. The women who take care of their kids full time. Most of my best friends are doing exactly that. But it seems like in the right, there's like a bit of a shift toward like, you can't do what Karoline's doing. That's actually like an unsafe or a dangerous or a bad choice for families, for children, which I reject wholesale, but you hear it more and more.
Yeah.
Do you hear that? And what do you think?
The moment Karoline Leavitt clapped back on live TV, the outrage machine kicked into gear, right on cue. The woke mob swarmed online, claws out, dragging her through digital mud. Why? Because she had the audacity to stand toe-to-toe with Whoopi Goldberg, Hollywood's self-anointed progressive royalty. But instead of debating her points, they went straight for her motherhood. In 2025, they pulled a move straight from the 1950s. Why is a woman with a 7-month-old even working? Forget facts, forget policy. This was pure, retrograde mom-shaming from people who preach choice and empowerment. The irony? Off the charts. The same crowd that screams women can have it all slammed the brakes the second one actually did, on her own terms. Apparently, outshining a daytime talk show host means you're supposed to go home and bake cookies, but Karoline didn't blink. No yelling, no theatrics, just calm, surgical precision. She crushed the outrage with facts, grace, and the kind of confidence that makes weak arguments fall apart. Her message was simple. Yes, you can be a mother and have a career. You don't have to choose one over the other. Wild concept, right? And just when you think she's done, she goes further, leaning into traditional values without flinching. Juggling a baby and a high-profile role. It's tough, but it's possible. And she's living proof.
I would reject that it's a bad choice. Is it a tough choice? Absolutely. As a mother, you want to be with your child 24/7. You have that maternal instinct.
27.
Yeah. Not all the time. Well, right now, yes, because he's 7 months and just squishy and lovable, but I'm sure that will change. You do have that maternal instinct, but also recognizing, like, I'm doing this work for my son and for all children to make this country better. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Honestly, Karoline is making some solid points, and I have no idea why people are hating on a hardworking mother in the first place. Let's see what she has to say next.
Yes. It's also it's temporary, right? In 4 years, my son will be 4 years old and the president will no longer be at the White House. And then I'll move on and do something else. But, this chaos of 24/7 work is a temporary matter. And that's what at least I tell myself to get through these very long and hard days. But I would reject that you can't be a good mom and be good at your job. I think you can do both. It's not for everybody. And it takes a lot of work and will and faith and prayer. And it's hard, but it can be done. And, I would reject that.
And here's the kicker. Karoline Leavitt openly says what most won't. My path isn't for everyone. A woman admitting that. Cue the digital pearl clutching. Forget the stale feminist mantra of have it all or you've failed. Karoline flips that narrative on its head with something rare, truth. No slogans, no spin. Just calm, clear wisdom. She reminds everyone that choosing to be a full-time mom isn't weakness, it's strength. It's not a step backward. It's stepping into one of the most vital roles there is. raising the next generation. She doesn't just win the argument, she strips it bare. Because for all their hashtags and high-minded rhetoric, the same people shouting about equality are the first to mock women who don't follow the approved script. What's that smell? A cocktail of performative feminism and old-school mom-shaming. And just when you think the internet warriors can't sink any lower, boom, they go full conspiracy mode. Yes, the same crowd that preaches science and logic suddenly tosses out reason and dives headfirst into tinfoil territory. Their next theory. So wild it sounds like a rejected sketch from late-night comedy. And sadly, they're dead serious.
I mean, I gotta ask you, because they said it, are you aware of any plots from Elon Musk to push President Trump down the stairs?
Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him, they have shamed him, they have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality.
Believe it or not, the latest brain-melting theory floating around is that Elon Musk, yes, the guy building rockets and reinventing transportation, is secretly plotting to take down Donald Trump by pushing him down a flight of stairs. That's right. Because apparently, when you're a billionaire genius, you ditch strategy and go full cartoon villain. And who's spreading this gem? None other than the ladies of The View, treating their morning chatter like it's a classified intelligence briefing. Why? Because Karoline Leavitt dared to outsmart their beloved Whoopi Goldberg, and now they're out for blood, dragging Trump and Musk into their revenge fantasy. You'd expect this kind of script from a bad political sketch show. But no, this is real. Or at least, real enough for daytime TV. But Leavitt wasn't playing along. She hit back, calm, composed, and lethal. Her response? Pure logic that dropped like a wrecking ball. It was so clean, so direct, the conspiracy crowd was left stammering for their next absurd headline. And Whoopi? Instead of facing Karoline head-on, she threw shade from a safe distance. Because she knows full well, going one-on-one with Leavitt isn't a debate. It's a buzzsaw. Blindfold optional.
A lot of women are preparing themselves for the impact of the incoming administration, which has led to this growing mantra from male right-wing incels. Your body, my choice. Say that to my face.
Whoopi Goldberg didn't face Karoline Leavitt directly. Instead, she veered off course and took a swipe at Donald Trump. But what happened next? Even longtime viewers were stunned. Live on national television, after mentioning Trump's name, Whoopi spat. Literally. Like a cartoon villain choking on defeat. Real high-level discourse, right? But Leavitt wasn't letting that slide. She fired back, sharp, calm, and ruthless. With surgical precision and freight train force, she nailed the moment. This is what passes for political debate now. When the facts run dry, Goldberg goes straight to playground antics. Then came the line that cracked the whole thing open. Imagine being so rattled by a man's name that you spit like a toddler rejecting broccoli. Not rage, just reality. Leavitt exposed the desperation behind the drama, and she didn't sugarcoat it. She called out the double standards with brutal clarity.
You must have really wrestled with how you were going to meet the high bar set by Karine Jean-Pierre. Was that... Sorry. Was that out loud? No, she was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So how has your approach differed, would you say?
I think it's vastly different. And if you ask people, even in the legacy media, even the Trump haters, they will tell you the approach has been much different. Not just for me, but the entire White House. Oh, absolutely. They come in my office every day and they'll admit that off the record. Oh. Maybe not on the record, but they will say they appreciate the access and the transparency and the preparation that goes into my briefings and everybody on our team.
The same voices preaching civility and respect just turned live TV into a circus, where spitting replaces argument and name-calling passes for debate. No shock. The internet exploded. Memes hit warp speed, and The View producers couldn't cut to commercial fast enough. Upport for Karoline Leavitt poured in. But Whoopi Goldberg's stunt, it backfired hard. One viewer wrote, "She literally spat on half the country." Another added, "I wouldn't feel safe walking down the street if I were any of them." And some just laughed, saying, "I'm convinced they pay her extra to act foolish." But here's the real twist. In one calm, calculated moment, Leavitt didn't just clap back, she peeled the mask off legacy media. She exposed the performative rage, the phony gatekeeping, the critics who mock her on air but shake her hand off camera, behind closed doors. It's a different game. Sources say the same journalists dragging Leavitt online have been quietly thanking her for giving them real access the Biden team had locked away. So much for outrage. Turns out, even her loudest critics know who's actually doing the job.
An IG report from the Social Security Administration, there was $71 billion worth of fraud in one single fiscal year that we know about. And so that is a lot of fraud, Peter.
To be clear, that $71 billion was from 2015 to 2022, so it wasn't in just one year. And it was
$71 billion.
But it wasn't in one year, just over multiple years, 2015 to 2022.
So are you defending $71 billion in fraud, Peter? That's a lot of money. Why is the media so against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? I don't get it.
I just want to ask a question.
We won't be deterred. We will not be deterred from people like you and the...
While they bash Karoline Leavitt on social media, behind the scenes it's all thanks for doing your job. You couldn't script hypocrisy this thick. And it's not just The View, it's the entire media machine, pretending to fight corruption while quietly playing along. And there's Karoline, front row, watching it all unravel. Fresh off her Whoopi clash, she barely catches her breath before a woke journalist steps in, not to address the scandal she just exposed, but to nitpick her phrasing. Classic playbook. Step 1, ignore the corruption. Step 2, attack the messenger. Step 3, congratulate yourself for saving democracy. But Karoline didn't flinch. With one sharp jab, she cut through the noise. "Oh, I didn't realize exposing corruption was less important than your fact-checking obsession." Brutal. The journalist scrambled, fumbling with word games while dodging the actual issue. By the end, it wasn't a debate, it was a surgical takedown. The so-called reporter didn't look like a truth seeker. They looked like PR backup for the very scandal Leavitt had just torched. Her secret. No script. No consultants. No safe buzzwords. Just guts, clarity, and truth, served cold.
How do you prepare? Because you can't know everything, and you could get asked anything. And unlike Karine Jean-Pierre, you're not out there reading and furiously flipping through your tabs to try to find an answer somebody else has written for you. So how are you preparing?
So I did prepare a binder for the first briefing. My great assistant, Keegan, put it together. And then I showed up to work and it was like this thick. And I was like, I can't even move this. I can't use this. It was too cumbersome for my brain and the way I learn and think and study to have that. It felt like added weight. And I said, I want to just go in there and speak from my mind and from my heart.
Like your boss.
Like my boss.
While the rest of DC runs their words through PR filters and focus groups, Karoline Leavitt just says it. Plain, real, and unapologetic. No fluff. No rehearsed monologues. Just truth, raw and unvarnished, that hits harder than a dozen polished sound bites. While the left tiptoes around their own echo chamber, tangled in verbal gymnastics and fear of offending, Leavitt slices through with facts, confidence, and zero hesitation. She's not playing the game. She's rewriting the rules, and the critics. They can't keep up. While they're still drafting their next outrage thread on X, pretending it's still 2016 Twitter, Leavitt's already steamrolled their narrative and moved on. In a political world addicted to slogans and fake offense, her blunt honesty isn't just refreshing. It's dangerous. Leavitt's authenticity is the real threat, especially to those whose whole platform relies on smoke, mirrors, and performative outrage.
I think clarify, she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
When Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg tried to reduce Karoline Leavitt to just her looks, it wasn't just lazy, it was pathetic. Let's call it what it really is, envy. These women aren't offended, they're threatened. Karoline's sharp mind, calm composure, and meteoric rise speak volumes. And that kind of momentum terrifies people who've spent decades yelling into cameras with little to show for it. So, what do? Default to the oldest trick in the failing playbook. Deflect, insult, and hope something sticks. Never mind how absurd or baseless, as long as it might drag her down, it's on the table. It's high school drama, dressed up in daytime TV glam and studio lighting. They can't dent her record. They can't beat her arguments. So they go for character assassination. The favorite line. She's only successful because of Trump. Please. Karoline Leavitt was making waves long before she ever took the White House podium. And let's be honest, would they ever say that about a liberal working mom juggling politics and family? Not a chance.
Very nice looking lady. But it isn't true that that's why she got the job. She got the job because she was the national spokesman for the campaign, and she did a very good job in that role. And the campaign was hugely successful and communicated very effectively. That is why she got the job. Even if Karoline Leavitt weren't a pretty lady, even if she were a male, gremlin, monstrous-looking fellow, she still would have gotten the job based on how effective the campaign communications was. Furthermore, Karoline Leavitt ran for Congress. I was talking to Roger Stone about this when we were trying to figure out who the picks for the administration were going to be. He said, I think Leavitt's going to get the White House press sec job. I think she earned the job, and I like that she has been in the fire. She's run for office.
The double standard isn't just glaring, it's laughable. And the louder they whine, the more obvious it gets. This isn't politics anymore. It's pure envy. Karoline Leavitt isn't just surviving the culture war. She's winning it by showing up, staying sharp, and refusing to play their game. Michael Knowles nailed it. Leavitt isn't dominating because she's good at sound bites. She's dominating because she's the real deal. Her confidence isn't a performance, it's earned. Remember her congressional run. She didn't roll in as some Gen Z influencer chasing headlines. She crushed the Republican primary, blowing past Matt Mowers, a former Trump official who was supposed to walk away with it. Spoiler alert, he didn't. Yes, she lost the general to Democrat Chris Pappas, but it was no landslide. She made the establishment sweat, and that wasn't just a campaign, it was boot camp. Leavitt didn't stumble into politics. She fought her way in, and she's still swinging. And that's what scares them. Not the Fantasyland politics of latte-sipping pundits. The real-world grit they can't match.
Now to the cackling witch herself, Joy Behar from The View, whose jealousy is something to behold. Here is her assessment of Trump's new White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
The ever-empowering feminist, Joy herself, everyone. And this is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world, because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees any day.
Karoline Leavitt's comebacks aren't just youthful fire. They're forged in the trenches. She's taken hits, held her ground, and come back sharper every time. That's why the left can't stand her. She is everything they claim to celebrate: intelligent, resilient, and dangerously effective. But behind their applause for strong women, you can feel the fear. Because unlike their hand-picked media darlings, Leavitt actually knows how to win. Let's be honest, the ladies on The View aren't just annoyed, they're rattled. They recycle buzzwords from a studio couch while Karoline shapes real narratives inside the White House. That's the difference. They talk. She acts. And they know it. They can't match her intellect, they can't rattle her composure, and they sure as hell can't beat her in a real debate, so every time they take a shot, it ends the same way: Karoline Leavitt standing tall while they scramble to save face.
CNN guy, Jim Acosta? Oh wait, he's not on CNN anymore. That's right. He was like, it was just so, I would say, you don't mind the aggressive questions, you take the aggressive questions, but it was just always to the point that it was like, how do you destroy Donald Trump? How do you destroy the individuals of staff? It was so, when they do say Trump derangement syndrome, and I do think that there's also Elon Musk derangement syndrome happening too with the media, because they don't know how to handle it. how do you view that differently from the first administration till now?
Well, first of all, since you brought up Jim Acosta, he's been saying some not so nice things about me online, and I've resisted responding, but since you brought him up, I'd like to say,
let's go.
Jim, at least I have a job, Jim, okay? Just say.
Karoline Leavitt walks in with a smile and facts, then leaves her critics in shambles. While Whoopi and her panel melt down on cue, Leavitt calmly drops truth bombs. They toss tantrums, she tosses receipts. Watching her dismantle their drama is like watching a heavyweight spar with keyboard warriors who've never seen a gym. The envy. You can feel it through the screen, let's be real. If any of them had to switch seats with Leavitt, they wouldn't last 5 minutes in real-world pressure. She's not just throwing clapbacks, she's serving masterclasses. Think Iron Chef versus someone who just figured out how to boil pasta, and this is why Whoopi dodges a real debate. Not because she's busy, but because she knows how it would end. It's not just defeat. It's humiliation in high definition. Whoopi brings volume. Karoline brings strategy. Leavitt plays chess. Goldberg's still looking for missing checkers, every insult. Flipped. Sharpened. Delivered back with a polite, bless your heart. They perform for the cameras. Leavitt sets the tone for the country. And if this were a real debate, it'd be over before the first commercial.